읽고 그리고 같이 바라보도록 하겠습니다. 제가 언젠가 필리핀으로 가서 리카님의 도서관 카페에 앉아가지고 장소를 구경하며 커피를 한잔 하겠습니다. 자, 오늘도 이렇게 책을 통해서 서로의 이야기를 공유할 수 있어서 정말 기뻤습니다. 그리고 행복했는데요. 다음엔 또 어떤 사연이 우리를 기다리고 있을지 기대를 해보도록 하겠습니다.
북포유
당신을 위한 책. 안녕.
Held its first debate over the weekend.
The economy is expected to expand 2.5% this year.
Korea's ties with its global partners on the sidelines of the status UN summit.
A massive drone attack on Ukraine overnight on Monday and Tuesday. Arirang. Hello and welcome to our morning edition of Arirang News. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Seoul's first snow of the season last evening caused a major commuter crisis, as a sudden burst of snowfall led many drivers to abandon their cars and head for the subway, while some passengers stuck on buses chose to get off and walk. South Korea says it's not considering linking the release of its citizens detained in North Korea with the repatriation of unconverted long-term prisoners of war in the South. This comes after a news report cited Seoul's national security advisor as saying the government is weighing the possibility of connecting the two issues. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Moscow will take Ukraine's Donbas region by force, rejecting any compromise to end the Ukraine war. And amid U.S. efforts to put an end to the prolonged war, Putin also said his 5-hour talks with American envoys at the Kremlin on Tuesday were useful, but also difficult work. We begin this morning with the first snow of the season in the capital that turned into a major evening commute disaster due to a sudden burst of heavy snowfall and icy road conditions. Our Lee Seung-jae starts us off.
Seoul's first snow of the season turned into a major commuter crisis on Thursday evening as a sudden burst of heavy snowfall and icy road conditions caught people off guard. What began as light flurries quickly intensified, sending workers rushing home in frustration rather than excitement. Snowfall thickened within minutes. With visibility low and cars barely moving, commuters voiced complaints that the first snow felt more like a full winter storm. Many abandoned their cars and switched to taking the subway, creating severe crowding underground. Some passengers trapped on buses chose to get off and walk. A heavy snow advisory issued for all of Seoul at 6 p.m. was lifted 2 hours later, but the impact lasted far longer. One office worker reported that a 30-minute commute stretched to 3 hours. Many also expressed frustration over the lack of de-icing work, despite snow being forecast.
There's no de-icing done and the buses are stuck and blocking everything. The roads have not melted at all, and if the temperature drops any further, this whole area might turn into ice. It is honestly terrifying.
As roads froze, multiple accidents were reported, and residents criticized Seoul City and the surrounding regions for snow removal efforts that appeared ineffective against the snowstorm. Prime Minister Kim Min-seok received an emergency briefing and ordered an immediate, coordinated response. According to the Prime Minister's office, he directed the Ministry of the Interior and Safety to work with Seoul City and other local governments to begin rapid snow removal and de-icing on major roads. He also instructed authorities to impose traffic controls and detours when needed. The Korea Expressway Corporation and the National Police Agency were instructed to ensure highways remained safe by implementing immediate de-icing and detour guidance. Local governments were told to stabilize public transportation by extending subway services, rerouting buses, and preparing emergency shuttle options. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
In other news, South Korea says it's not considering linking the release of its citizens detained in North Korea with the repatriation of unconverted long-term prisoners here, but it will address each of them. Our Kim Bo-kyung tells us more.
The South Korean government is planning to repatriate unconverted long-term North Korean prisoners of war on humanitarian grounds and is reviewing related measures. But it is not going to happen via a swap with South Korean detainees held by the regime. This is according to a Unification Ministry statement on Thursday, which followed an NK News report that cited Seoul's National Security Advisor and stated that Seoul was mulling linking the two issues. There are up to 6 elderly North Koreans here who have yet to renounce their communist beliefs. And one of them, Anak-sup, who is in his 90s, recently called for repatriation to the north. The Unification Ministry said it recognizes the urgent need to resolve the detainee issue and that it was trying to address it through dialogue with the north. Currently, a total of 6 South Korean nationals are known to have been detained by the regime between 2013 and 2016. 3 missionaries, Kim Jong-uk, Kim Guk-gi, and Choi Chung-gil, and 3 North Korean defectors. When inter-Korean dialogue was taking place, the South raised the issue with the North multiple times. For example, during the inter-Korean high-level talks held in June 2018, the then unification minister brought the matter up, and North Korea's chief delegate said that related agencies were thoroughly reviewing it. The ministry said it is in regular contact with the families of the detainees, noting that in late September, Unification Minister Chung Dong-young met with the missionaries' families. International cooperation is underway as well. One expert says there is little possibility of resolving the issue promptly, as Pyongyang has officially pronounced that the two Koreas are two hostile states, although it is meaningful to constantly raise the issue.
Keeping the detainee issue in the public spotlight can put pressure on North Korea. Even though it's hard for North Korea to respond positively right now, this attention might make them look at the issue again. And if it helps reopen inter-Korean talks, the detainee issue could become one of the first topics on the agenda.
For now, the detainees' whereabouts and whether they are alive or not remain completely unknown. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
Russian President Vladimir Putin once again threatened to take Ukraine's eastern region by force if Kyiv does not comply to its demands. Meanwhile, as the U.S. continues its efforts to strike a deal to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Putin said his recent talks with U.S. envoys were useful. Our Oh Soo-young reports.
Russian leader Vladimir Putin has warned that Moscow will seize Ukraine's eastern region of Donbas if Ukrainian troops do not withdraw from the area. This came in an interview with India Today before the Russian leader left for a trip to New Delhi. He told the Indian Daily that he intends to liberate Donbas and Novorossiya at any cost by military or other means, according to Russian state media TASS. Amid the United States' efforts to end the near 4 years of war, the Kremlin has been demanding Ukraine hand over territory in the Donbas region, 85% of which is currently under Russian control. This comes after US President Donald Trump claimed his negotiators believe the Russian leader would like to end the war after talks over a peace plan in Moscow on Tuesday. Last week, the Trump administration's 28-point draft proposal was leaked and criticized for largely reflecting the Kremlin's main demands, including Ukraine giving up territory, limiting its military, and dropping its efforts to join NATO. The proposal has reportedly been revised since then, with input from Kyiv and European nations, but the details have not been disclosed. Putin said his 5-hour talks with US envoys at the Kremlin on Tuesday were necessary and useful, but also difficult work. While deeming some proposals unacceptable, Putin said he believed the US leader is sincere.
We had a feeling, and even more than a feeling. I had no doubt that President Trump has sincere desire. Well, let's not talk about what's the cause of it, but what dictated this sincere desire, but it is there, in place for sure. The United States and President Trump, indeed, they have their own understanding of why it needs to end, and as soon as possible.
Putin has previously said he is generally on board with Trump's proposals as a basis for future agreements, while threatening continued military advancement should Ukraine refuse to comply. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has refused to cede territory and has called for a security guarantee from the West. Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff is due to meet Ukraine's team in Florida after returning from Moscow. According to German news outlet Der Spiegel, European leaders are skeptical of Trump's peace deal efforts. On Thursday, the publication reported that in a call between Zelensky and other European leaders, French President Emmanuel Macron warned that the United States could betray Kyiv on territorial concessions without clarity on security guarantees. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz reportedly told Zelensky that US negotiators are, quote, playing games and that he should be very careful for the next few days. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Today, December 5th, marks Trade Day here in South Korea, aimed at promoting exports and recognizing the achievements of companies and individuals that contributed to the nation's trade. For more on this, we're joined today by Professor Oh Jun-seok, Dean at the College of Economics and Business at Sookming Women's University. Professor Oh, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So, South Korea's exports are on track to reach a historic milestone, right, in trade, $700 billion for the first time. What's driving this surge?
Despite trade uncertainty of the Trump administration, Korea's historic $700 billion milestone is primarily driven by two factors. The one is robust global demand for a key technology product, and the other comes from the diversification strategy of Korean companies. As for robust global demand for first, semiconductor exports were the key performance driver, surging 38.6% year-on-year in November. This represents the highest monthly semiconductor export figure ever recorded. And the global AI boom, both physical AI and sovereign AI, and expanded investment in AI server and data centers have created massive demand for high-value memory semiconductors. Next is a car industry, which has also contributed to strong performance with a rise in sales of hybrid and electric models particularly. Firm's diversification strategy of market and product helps trade volume to hold the position in the midst of a torrent. As for market diversification, Korean companies tried in many ways to diversify export to destination with notable growth in shipment to the EU area, Asian countries, and India. This has helped to mitigate some regional trade challenges under uncertainty. Export to China and the ASEAN increased by 6.9% and 6.3% respectively, such as K-beauty product and K-food can be examples of production diversification, which has also increased the global popularity with export in this category, crossing the $10 billion US dollar threshold for the first time. But the outlook of international trade is not that bright due to comparative geopolitical tension. Korea needs economic diplomacy within the collaborative framework of regional integration, such as CPTPP or RCEP, more than ever.
Right, you just mentioned that semiconductor was the main key driver. So the country has seen a particularly sharp surge in chip exports. How long do you expect the semiconductor boom to continue, and what's your outlook for next year?
It is true the Korean economy has been on a recovery track, as well as improving consumer sentiment. The current semiconductor boom is widely expected to continue with strong growth. Analysis of BOK and WSTS projected continued strong momentum for the global semiconductor market. Memory chip price, especially for HBM used in AI, are expected to remain elevated until the end of 2026. And even further 2027. The WSTS forecast market growth of over 25% for 2026, with the total market size approaching $1 trillion by 2030. We've experienced till now the semiconductor upcycle usually lasts around 2 years, but the current one may be prolonged by the global AI boom. This super cycle is mainly driven by exponential demand for AI servers, a shift from past cycle driven by smartphone or PCs. But despite the current boom, it should be noted that the semiconductor industry is historically cyclical, typically experiencing a boom burst cycle lasting approximately 4 years. So the market might be experience a bumpy ride over the next few years with potential for slowdown after 2026. In addition, we have to count in such geopolitical tensions. Reforming AI supply chain and realignment of AI value chain remains as significant factors that could impact the market's trajectory.
I see. And, tariffs on South Korean cars exported to the U.S. have now officially been lowered to 15%, and the change will now take effect retroactively to November 1st. What impact will this have on Korean automakers shipping to the United States?
It's a good news. Uncertainty surrounding Korea's export have partially eased as the U.S. confirmed the lowering of tariff. But news of the tariff reduction led promptly to a sharp rise in the stock price of Hyundai and Kia Motors, reflecting investor relief and improved earnings outlook for the company. The move will allow Korean automakers to compete on a more equal footing with rivals from Japan and European Union, who also faced a 15% tariff. Prior to the tariff reduction, Korean cars faced a 10% point higher tariff than Japan rivals, which raised their price advantage. But while the 15% tariff is lower than the 25%, still make Korean cars less competitive compared to those from countries not subject to the same tariff. In this way, reciprocal tariff will increase cost of for Korean automakers shipping to the U.S., making their vehicle less competitive. This move also means automakers must adjust their supply chain and may lead to a higher price for U.S. customers. The new tariff will disrupt already established globally integrated supply chain, forcing companies to reevaluate and change their sourcing and just-in-time delivery models. It might be likely, I guess, to give momentum for car makers not to adjust the supply chain, but separately and independently from the U.S. market, targeting for the EU market to make a pivot into the new EV supply chain earlier than expected.
I see. All right, Professor, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
South Korea's 30-month-long current account surplus continued in October, but the surplus was about 50% lower than in September. The Bank of Korea announced on Friday that the preliminary current account surplus registered for October stood at $6.81 billion. The drop was largely due to fewer working days during the extended Chuseok holiday and the absence of large one-off exports of ships. Exports were down 17% from September and fell 4.7% compared to the same period the year before. Imports also fell by 5% compared to the same period last year. The current account shows the balance of imports and exports, as well as other money flows into and out of the country. Meanwhile, U.S. authorities have arrested a suspect accused of planting 2 pipe bombs outside the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters on the eve of the January 6th riot in 2021. The Justice Department says 30-year-old Virginia resident Brian Cole Jr. was taken into custody without incident and has been charged with using an explosive device, with additional charges possible. The arrest follows nearly 5 years of investigation involving 3 million lines of data and a $500,000 reward. Authorities traced phone records, CCTV footage, and purchase histories tying Cole to bomb-making materials. The devices never detonated and were discovered as rioters breached the Capitol. Meanwhile, Google Korea announced Thursday the top search words of the year based on which keywords saw the largest increase among Korean users. The company says 2025 search trends show a strong turn toward active interest in politics, the economy, government policy, and major social issues. Searches related to public support programs grew sharply, making the application method for the government's livelihood recovery consumer coupon the #1 rising query in the how-to category. 2025 presidential election became the fastest growing search term in the news category, and K-content also continued its global momentum. In the film sector, KPop Demon Hunters ranked first, followed by Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17.
Good morning, I'm Chu Ji-hyun, and this is The World Now. In Washington on Thursday, U.S. President Donald Trump hosted the signing of a peace deal between the leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, aiming to end years of conflict in the eastern part of Democratic Republic of Congo. The agreement was endorsed by the Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwanda's President Paul Kagame, alongside several African leaders. The summit followed intense fighting between the Congolese army and the Rwandan-backed Congolese M23 rebels, who were not present and continue to hold key areas in the east of the country. Both sides pledged to address 2 core demands: disarming the Rwandan rebel group FDLR militia and withdrawing Rwandan troops from DR Congo. Analysts warn a ceasefire is still absent and M23 expansion remains a major obstacle to lasting peace. Now to Pakistan, where Afghan refugees said Thursday a decision by U.S. President Donald Trump to halt access to green cards, citizenship, and special immigrant visas have left them with no safe pathway out of Pakistan. According to Afghan journalist and human rights activist Ihsan Ullan Ahmadzai, the ruling gives authorities in Pakistan a green light to continue enforcing orders to remove undocumented foreigners, including refugees who wish to relocate to the U.S. In the United States, the Trump administration ordered a pause on immigration processing for 19 travel ban countries on Tuesday, a move that followed the shooting of 2 National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. The suspect being held for the attack is an Afghan national. Refugees say the decision places their cases in indefinite limbo, despite many fleeing after the Taliban takeover in 2021. In India on Thursday, Russian President Vladimir Putin arrived in Delhi for his first visit since the war in Ukraine began nearly 4 years ago. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi personally met him at the airport, a rare gesture as the 2 leaders begin a 2-day summit focused on expanding economic and defense ties. Putin's trip comes as India faces its most difficult geopolitical climate in years, amid tensions with China, weakened ties with the U.S., and Western pressure over its Russian oil purchases. Formal talks between Modi and Putin are scheduled for Friday. Across the world this week, the cold supermoon, the last supermoon of 2025, reached its peak on Thursday. The cold moon will also appear bright and full tonight. Astronomers say it is the second biggest full moon of the year and climbs higher in the sky than any other full moon as the winter solstice nears. The next supermoon will be the wolf moon on January 3rd, 2026.
Seoul saw its first snow of the season yesterday, and it was not a gentle start. The snow came down heavily right from the beginning, with a heavy snow advisory issuing for the capital area. And from blizzard chaos to an icy cold morning, the freezing temperatures were causing some headaches for many commuters with the frozen road. And for today, skies will be mostly clear across the country. However, on the East Coast, the air is still very dry with strong winds, so please be careful with anything that could start a fire. And this afternoon, highs will be similar to yesterday. Seoul getting up to 2 degrees, Daegu topping out at 7 degrees. Now the cold will get eased starting this weekend with temperatures recovering to near normal. However, brief snow showers are expected across parts of the central region tomorrow, so please keep that in mind for weekend plans.
That's all we have for this morning. Arirang News will be back at noon Korea time. Thanks for watching.
Korea, a globally recognized sports powerhouse. Behind the dazzling achievements, there's always an invisible force at work. With sophisticated materials, cutting-edge equipment, and innovative technological solutions, SMEs in the K-sports industry play a vital role in bolstering Korea's status as a sports powerhouse. By integrating AI technology, they unlock athletes' potential and enhance performance, elevating the sports environment to the next level and opening new markets in the sports industry. Their innovative technology and bold challenges drive the growth of Korea's sports industry, creating a better world through sports. The innovation of these SMEs never stops. A systematic partnership support program is implemented to discover promising sports SMEs, provide technical validation and R&D support to enhance competitiveness, and strengthen the foundation for overseas expansion. At Tokyo Sportech 2025, the technological prowess of Korean companies was recognized. The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, and the Korea Sports Promotion Foundation supported K-sports companies with product promotion and business consultations with global buyers, demonstrating product quality and market potential, and confirming the possibility of expanding into the global market.
저희는 ICT 강국으로서 바이어나 사용자들한테 신기술을 접목한 생활 스포츠 기회를 실질적으로 확대할 수 있는 교육 기회를 제공하는데 많은 도움이 될 수 있으리라고 확신을 합니다.
이제 스포츠도 K죠. K 스포츠는 이겁니다.
The joy for all, created by the power of K-sports. Experience the future of the new sports industry through the innovation and technology of the Korean sports industry.
We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Friday, December 5th here in Seoul. I'm Lee Soo-jin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Ki.
Happy Friday!
Happy Friday! And also Moonju's with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's Friday, the last day of the work week, a time to wrap up work and start thinking about the weekend ahead. And with the year coming to a close, many of us are also start thinking about religious and cultural events. And here in Korea, we enjoy freedom of religion, and there's no official state religion, but individuals do. A lot of people have religions themselves. So Ki, do you have a religion?
Do I look like to have a religion?
It's you.
Yes, I'm a Christian. To be specific, I'm a Presbyterian. I used to be 교회 오빠, leading the church choir, being a leader at the gospel bands, and leading the worships. But since I started my career, I was even getting a job for the weekend as well, and it was hard for me to attend Sunday service regularly. So right now, I just stay at home and try to pray and read some Bibles if I have time, but that's pretty much about it.
That's really admirable that you make time to do that. So what about you, Moonju? Do you have a religion?
I don't have a religion just because I didn't really find the needs for it. But I do find many people find religions when life isn't going well or if they need some psychological support. And I found other ways to ease my concerns. So that's why I think I don't have a religion quite yet now. But I do understand why people have a religion because, you know, I sometimes also go to temple if I really need to find some peace in my mind. So I think at the end of the day, it's kind of different in how they want to settle their minds, whether it's from religion or it's from the other things that they have found their own selves. Yeah.
Right, like you said, I feel like a lot of reason why people turn to religion is to find solace. But now there's more shift towards, there's more people like Moonju these days actually. So we're going to dive deeper into this topic. But first, let's take a look at the screen. Religion has shaped history. It has built kingdoms and laid the foundations of civilizations. Much of it comes from a fundamental human desire to believe in something larger than ourselves. But for millennials and Gen Zs, that connection is changing. Many no longer identify with religion, and their views on faith are shifting. Today on News Generation, we take a closer look at this trend in Korea, exploring what religion means to young people today and how it might evolve in the future. So as we just saw in a video, while religion isn't disappearing, it's evolving, especially among the younger generations. And this reflects a global pattern with many choosing to move away from organized religion altogether. But what's it like here in Korea?
Yeah, while de-religion movements have been unfolding worldwide, South Korea shows a distinct trend here regarding the de-religion, especially among younger generations. In fact, nearly 70% of people in their 20s, as you can see from our screen here, are reporting that they have no religion, showing the highest proportion across all age groups here in South Korea, with Protestantism, Buddhism, and Catholicism falling behind. Among older generations, however, these kind of three faiths hold a higher share of believers. So if we take all together, the data suggests that the de-religion movement in South Korea is gaining significant movement from younger generations.
I mean, 70% of young people and people in their 20s identifying as non-religious, that's a pretty big number, and it really shows how Korea stands out even in the global trend of decline in people identifying themselves with a religion. So speaking of which, so how is this trend affecting religious communities themselves? We talked about people who actually identify themselves. What about people who are actually entering the religious faith?
Well, as the younger generations, like Moon-Ju said, continue to move away from the religion, many faith communities are now facing a decline and aging of their prospective clergy. So for the first time in history, Chongshin University, Hankook Chongshindae, a representative Christian school in South Korea, where they nurture future pastors, failed to fill its freshman class quota. In the Joge order, Jogesa, a representative Buddhist altar in Korea, and the only Buddhist order that trains and commissions military chaplains. The number of new monks has dropped by whopping 79% over the past 12 years, and the Catholic Church has seen a 36% increase in new priests over the last decade.
And I think what's striking about that is it's not just one religion. You mentioned, like, it's Buddhism and also Catholic as well.
Right.
So why is this happening, Moon-Ju?
One survey found that the leading reason why people identify as non-religious is just very simple, lack of interest. Many feel that institutional religions no longer kind of meet their spiritual nor the psychological needs that they need. And as a result, they see very little reason to stay engaged with the religions. The second most common response was distrust and disappointment in religion. Negative perceptions have grown continuously, fueled by issues such as financial corruption, disputes over ecclesiastical authority, and even the sexual harassment scandals and the insistence on in-person service during the COVID-19 era. Altogether, these kind of controversies have reinforced skepticism and expanded the reach of the religion movement among younger generations.
So it sounds like it's not some dramatic reasons, but it's more like a shift towards a simply lack of interest in religion itself. And the fact that scandals and controversies within religious institutions are affecting trust makes a lot of sense. So it's interesting to see how social issues and personal perceptions are reshaping attitudes towards faith. So beyond disinterest or distrust, are there other reasons why young people might want to stay away from religion these days, Kate?
Sure. The same exact survey also pointed out to other reasons, such as, quote unquote, I never developed real faith, or others said, I don't want to feel tied down. In Protestant communities, there's even a well-known group called Canaan Christians, people like me who no longer attend church but still identify as Protestant. They now make up nearly 30% of the entire Protestant population. With my work, I wasn't able to attend the Sunday worship regularly. Of course, like I said before, and the COVID pandemic naturally got me into the online or self-worship service. And with more single-person households and a growing culture of individualism, living alone has become common, and many people feel reluctant to engage in religious activities that require forming and maintaining relationships with a large community. As a matter of fact, just like I said, I am a Christian, and I'm an outgoing person, a big letter E type. I wouldn't have any problems with social gathering within the religious community, but sometimes religious communities seek for family-like relations, or even deeper, as they say they're spiritually connected or religiously connected. It could make some people very uncomfortable.
Right, and it also depends on people's personality as well, like you said. So, I mean, it's all really interesting. It's not just disinterest or distrust, but also desire for personal freedom and boundaries that's shaping religious behavior. And with the rise of single-person households and more individualistic lifestyles, it makes sense that communal religion activities might feel less appealing. So it really shows how broader social trends are influencing not just religious affiliation, but how people choose to practice or not practice their faith. So we wanted to know what you think too. So we asked on the Arirang News YouTube channel, what is your religious affiliation? So here's what the results showed. So the largest group at 37% said they have a religion but not active. This is followed by 30% who said they have a religion and are actively involved. Next, 17% report having no religion at all. And finally, 16% said they don't have a religion but are still interested in religious ideas. So there are different perspectives on this, but we wanted to get a first-hand view on this. So we're going to speak to a Buddhist religious leader. And that conversation will come right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Hyunmin Sunim, originally from Poland, now serving in Korea as a member of the Buddhist clergy. So hello, thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hello, how are you?
Good. So to get right into this, so have you noticed this said decline in the number of young people?
Of course. It's natural process. These days, first of all, have to investigate what the religion means. It's a preparation of the religiosus. It's a Latin and Greek name for relying, to go back to your original nature. Mm-hmm. And every religion is just pointing on it's like ashes. But we are not interested in the transferring the ashes. We are interested in transferring the fire to the next generation. And then when you try to only serve people ashes, I'm not surprised they don't follow this one, because they are not interested. They have better toys. Religion is like a toy to make you easy to find yourself. It's just kind of written down in the scripture or rituals or something. But this is not the point. Point is why. What is the direction of the human? Now, everybody understands everything, so religion is not interesting at all. And I absolutely agree with the young people, because they know everything. They know better than me, Buddhists. So why follow something which is kind of like very murky? They understand everything, they are educated, they are great, they have beautiful life, they don't have to search for food like, people during yoga time in India. They have everything delivered, and this comfort is gonna kill them. Because when there's a comfort, there is no question why I come to this world. Then, very easy, everybody sleep. But there is a wonderful thing, they don't believe anything. I love it, because this is great. But it's not constructional. Because don't believe in anything, the meaning the doubt in this existence have to be positive. The meaning, what is my life? How can I live correctly? What is my feelings? What is my response for the neighbors, for the another human? If they don't have it, then they just sleep in the like a cocoon of the comfort, and that's it. But absolutely, I love people who don't believe anything. Me too. I don't believe anything. That's why I become Buddhist monk. Otherwise, I cannot, because there is not a point of believing anything. We are seekers, not believers.
Thank you. So
in religion has only seeking for something, that is a lie. When it's believing something, sooner or later gonna die.
Right, thank you. You sort of answered in your first question, but are there some of the main reasons, can you redefine them, if any, why many young people are choosing to step away from the religion?
Of course, because I told you, this is very simple. Today, nobody is fooled by anything, because everybody understands everything. But the point is, Do they understand themselves?
Yeah, so our last question for you today was, what efforts our religious institutions are making to engage and attract younger members in this kind of their different lifestyle patterns?
When my teacher went to United States, he didn't go to teach anything. He went over there to learn. So our duty is absolutely learn what is the new generation needs. And it's not based on the transferring the ashes. It's transferring on the perceiving where is the life, where is the light, where is the fire, what they need exactly. Because everybody understands everything, the meaning they have a constipation. Everybody consume for tetrabytes of the information every second. What is the result? Our mind is completely in constipation, just like you eat food too much. So what you have to do, respond for this situation. And of course, we have a techniques to do that. And religion is one of the techniques, but presentation of the techniques not compatible with the modern society is just wasting the time.
I agree. I think that you brought up really good things for us to consider. It's really inspirational. Your story is also really inspirational and a great reminder how it's important to continue to ask questions, continue to seek as well. And thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insight with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just spoke with a member of the Buddhist community who helped us understand why so many young people are choosing to step away from organized religion and what different religious groups are doing to try to reconnect with younger followers. And it really highlights how much the landscape of faith is shifting for this generation. So that brings us to a broader question. So in this changing environment, what does religion actually mean to young people today, Ki?
Well, it varies from person to person, but for many Korean MZers, religion is no longer about belonging to an institution or learning doctrine inside a community. Like our great Snim said, it's not interesting. So instead, it has become a personal search for meaning, finding philosophical or spiritual guidance within their own lives. And in reality, a lot of MZers are actively engaging with Buddhist culture. The reason is very simple. Buddhism's focus on self-reflection and personal discipline resonates with younger generations as a kind of practical life philosophy. So it's like our Snim said, they're not looking for believers, but it's more of a seekers of their life value.
I think the Buddhist religion is doing actually a great job in appealing to younger people as kind of like a practical philosophy, and it really represents how younger generations are approaching spirituality in a more individualized way, and it reflects this broader trend of self-exploration and self-development that's so common among millennials and Gen Zs. So now, beyond this search for personal meaning, how are ideas like individuality and personal expression shaping the way young people relate to religion these days, Minju?
Yeah, they are definitely shaping the way. Religions are no longer aligned with the MZ generation, a group that values expressing and respecting the individuality. For many, faith has shifted into a source of just a cultural enjoyment. They attend Buddhist expositions, much like they celebrate the Christmas season each year, which we're looking ahead in like 3 weeks maybe. And in this way, the religion has increasingly become a cultural experience for them. So something to be enjoyed regardless of their personal beliefs. So this is how they have changed it these days, yeah.
I think both, a lot of religions are doing that, like Christianity and Buddhism both. I went to a temple actually during the weekend and I saw how they were selling keychains of cute bears dressed up as monks. So they're doing a lot of cool stuff. So in that same line, so what kind of changes do you anticipate in the way future generations engage with religion, Ki?
Sure. So religion is basically a belief. It's a long journey or learning how you behave and value and what sort of life you seek and pursue. There are also so many different religions right now, and even within the Christianity and Buddhism, there's so many different denominations. So finding the right religion for anybody is hard and very important. But one thing I really hope is that I really wish the religion would be separated from any political scenes. Unless any specific religion is being threatened by the government policy, they should be separated. That's what I believe. And I've seen some people taking advantages of their believers. And this is for sure another reason why younger generations are walking away from the religion. When I was going to church regularly when I was young, they were looking for a way to lure more younger people. And church I went to was superbly conservative one. But after months of begging, convincing, and negotiating, I finally was able to install a drum set in the church so we can play trendier gospel. So church, temple, shrine, wherever you go, they need to change and try to understand, be more open-minded to the younger generation.
I think that's really cool. A church, I'm also a Christian, so I belong to a church. And one thing my church also did that kind of was more, I guess, trendy is that, you know, like for religious communities are known to kind of pressure people into attending every week.
Right.
So what my church does is like they don't contact you ever, even if you don't show up. And I feel like having that freedom, giving people that freedom actually makes them more into that religion as well. So what are your thoughts on this, Tunju?
Yeah, I agree with what Keith just mentioned. You know, the world has changed and younger generations are increasingly determined to express themselves regardless of how they are viewed by others. You know, following this trend, I believe religions will need to become more inclusive and open-minded in order to, you know, attract new young believers, just as Buddhism once did by, you know, embracing figures like Yujin Snim. At the end of the day, all religions now have to find ways to engage and lure young members if they really want to sustain their long-standing tradition as a religion.
Well said, well said. So religion can be a lifeline for people going through difficult moments, offering comfort and a sense of stability. And because it holds such deep meaning for many, respecting each person's beliefs is essential. At the same time, religion isn't something fixed in one era. It grows and adapts alongside the people who practice it. Today, it's clear that faith is no longer a one-size-fits-all experience, and young people are redefining religion in real time, helping it evolve without losing its core identity and opening doors to a more inclusive future. So that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back on Monday at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Ki.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, and also Bunju.
Thanks for having me today.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have the best day. We are News Generation.
To set the facts straight. Get Korea right.
다음 중 한국의 전통 의상은 무엇일까요? 그렇다면 한국의 전통 의상 이름은 무엇일까요?
정답은 한복입니다. 안녕하세요. 방크 청년연구원 이정호입니다. 한국 드라마와 한국 영화가 한류 팬들에게 사랑받으면서 한국 전통 의상인 한복도 주목받고 있는데요. 한국 문화 콘텐츠가 지구촌 곳곳에서 인기를 누리면서 한국과 관련된 잘못된 정보도 확산되고 있습니다. 그중에는 한복에 관한 오류 정보도 있더라고요. 제가 여러분께 한복에 대해 제대로 알려드릴게요.